this short video. I promised some of you in the comments I would get to this as soon as I can. You guys have been asking about, because I've been saying some things about buying houses, and a lot of it's getting negative attention, but I'll tell you why I believe what I believe. But before I do, hit subscribe, hit thumbs up, welcome to the channel. Help me to grow this channel by sharing this channel. Just hit share, copy the link, or just send it to a friend or a coworker or somebody, and just let them know this channel's here. We got some information I think is good, and we're going to try to give you different perspectives on personal finance and home buying and things like that. So I'm Shon-Jhon, aka the Middleman CEO. By the way, if you want to learn how to make money from your phone, go to my other channel, Middleman CEO, and watch the videos there. If you want to get into the free training and learn the blueprint, how to book customers, take deposits, dispatch to work from your phone only without leaving your house, and still make about $100 every time you book one customer. So if you do 3 a day, that's an extra 300. And by the end of the month, if you're consistent, just 3 customers a day, which is usually about 15 minutes of work, you can do, let's see, probably, I don't know, even if you do 3 customers a day at $300 a day, that's $9,000 at the end of the month. And even if you do half of that, just a customer a day, 2 customers a day, still can make an extra $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month without leaving your house. It doesn't have to be a full-time job, but you can keep your job but still make money when you're not at work. So put the word middleman in the comments below to get that, or click the link in the video description below. So I've been talking about houses. So if you saw the thumbnail, you saw Robert Kiyosaki, who's got his own opinions on houses. I'm going to try to keep this video short. If you have a question or comment, let me know. I appreciate all the feedback, appreciate all the questions, and I appreciate all the thank yous. So Robert Kiyosaki has his beliefs on a house, home buying. Dave Ramsey has his personal beliefs on home buying. And then you have Grant Cardone. Now, I have nothing against any of these guys or what they believe. I have my own belief, and we're going to talk about that now. And it's not a matter of who's right, who's wrong, because I'll tell you right now, neither is wrong and neither is right. It just depends on what's best for you. I'm not wrong, but I'm also not right. It just depends on, again, what's best for you. Correct. So let's talk about it. How did I get here? Well, just a little backstory. In 2020, me and my family moved we were living in Baton Rouge. I was born and raised there. My wife is from the great state of Mississippi. I'm from the great state of Baton Rouge, of Louisiana. And that's sarcasm. I hope you got it. And so we left there because we were planning to have kids. We got 2 beautiful kids here today, Weston and Renly. And we were planning to have kids, and I was like, look, I've lived here my whole life. Louisiana is not somewhere I want to raise kids. I've done it myself. It's not progressive. It's not a good place. Let's get out of here, right? And so God gave me a wife who would submit, not to just anything, but submit to the right things. And this is off topic, but a lot of times I'll get people that say, no, the man is the head of the house, so the woman's supposed to do what the man says do. No. That's not what he meant. You don't have a slave. You don't boss people around. That's not what he meant. He meant that if you're doing what I tell you to do, then she should do what I told you to do. So if you're following me, then she should follow you. That's it. But if you're not following me and you're doing your own thing, she should not be following. All right. How did I get on that? All right, we'll leave that for a Bible study class. So guys, help me to grow this channel if you don't mind. I'm going to give this channel until the end of the year and see if it's growing, see if people care about the content, see if it's something people like, something they need. If you guys want the channel to last, help me to grow it, help me to build it and promote it. And if I see that at the end of the year, it's an asset to a lot of people, I promise I'll keep going, because I do have a couple other channels that I do. So if the personal finance lessons on here help you, I'll keep going. If it does not help you, and you guys aren't watching or unsubscribing, then I'll take that as that's the feedback. This channel's not wanted, it's not needed, and then I'll leave it alone. And so, but it's up to you guys to let me know whether I need to continue or cancel this channel. By the way, if you want to learn how to make money from your phone, put the word middleman in the comments below, or click the link in the video description below to get the free blueprint how to make money when I'm not at work. There we go. All right, I've been doing it since 2020. That's all I do. Speaking of 2020, moved here to Dallas, bought a beautiful house in the neighborhood that I'm in now. A lot of you watch my channel, or a lot of my friends watch my channel, family too. So they know the neighborhood, they know the house that we had and all that, right? So we bought a house here in the Viridian neighborhood here in it's in DFW, but it's in Arlington in the mid cities. So moved here in 2020, bought this beautiful, amazing house in 2020, right? So in 2022, the house, the house appreciated a ridiculous amount, and we sold the house, right? And that's not why we sold the house because it made so much money. I'm gonna tell you why we really sold it. We really sold the house because we realized that we bought the house the wrong way, right? So let me first tell you what the other three guys think about home buying, and then I'll tell you why I believe what I believe about home ownership, right? Somebody caught that. And so Dave Ramsey believes that buying a house, there's a guy, I love his content. I got his book, John Hope Bryant. He says that buying a home is the fastest way to build wealth. I don't think it is. I think that creating a business, I know everybody can't buy a business, or create a business. That's what you guys are gonna say, and I'm gonna say everybody can't buy a home, especially today. But if you can build a business, you're good. Reason I say homes don't necessarily create wealth is because of the dip they've taken today. So if you bought a house today, then you probably overpaid for the house. It's probably going to decrease in value because nobody's buying houses. Lowest application, mortgage applications last month, I believe, in maybe the last 30 years. So demand drives costs, not interest rates, nothing like that. It's the demand. If people aren't buying, you got to put it on sale. That's how you get clearance sections in stores, or clearance sections, I call it. So, all right, so really quick, sorry guys, just want to make sure you can see me and we can do this video. And so really quickly, again, Dave Ramsey believes that if you buy a house, it's a great investment and you just hold it, just like John Hope Bryant, you just hold it until the house appreciates. My only issue with that is now that houses have elevated beyond what they are worth, not just beyond, so far beyond. Houses that in 2020 were 300 grand went to 7. They just exploded. They were so overpriced that even if they take, even if there's a market crash, a market cave in, it still won't go back to the price it was. So if you bought a house in the past 2 to 3 years, my belief is that you lost equity. Am I right? I know I'm right because I sold one that lost 100 grand in 1 year. So if you bought a house in the past couple of years, your house is probably going to lose equity. Now, if you didn't buy for the equity and you love the home, you just want to live there, fine, nothing wrong with that. Right? So, but the house is not going to, if you bought a house that was 300 and it went to, let's say 6, it's never going to go back to 300 and it's never going to be 6 again. Never, because it'll probably go back down to 4 and then maybe go up to 450, 500 max, but you still lose money every month. All that's lost. So buying a house to build wealth, I just don't, I'm just saying maybe 5-10 years ago that was a good idea, but after this crash was so ridiculous that the home prices were so overpriced, it wasn't just creeping up, it exploded. Then people sold and you bought a house that had to dive. You rode the roller coaster down in terms of equity. So how long will it take for a house I sold that I purchased at 300 that went to 700 can now only sell for 600? How long before that house goes back to 7? Never. It'll never go back to what they paid for. Never. No, it ain't even worth that. Beautiful house, it ain't worth that. So, but mama ain't raising no fools, right? I always tell you guys, home ownership is not the goal for me and my family. It's financial freedom. Then we'll get the home. But we need the freedom first. I'd rather live in an apartment or a hotel and be financially free than to have a house and not be financially free. So Dave Ramsey believes that, a house is a great investment. I don't, and that's why. I don't believe a house is a great investment because how the houses are going to lose equity. They're going to go down and you're not going to make as much money. Right? So that's where we are. The houses, the negative, the equity is going to be negative. I know nobody talks about negative equity, but you're starting to see it. So is a house a good long-term investment? I just personally don't believe, because I believe we're in a different day and age where you're going to see the price of the house probably over the next 5 years do this, dive down, as opposed to creep up. They have to drop. Then you can come in and buy them. Then it'll probably be a good investment. But for today, no, no, no. Delete, okay? Delete that thought from your mind. That's just my opinion, guys. You don't have to agree. Let me know in the comments. Secondly, Robert Kiyosaki. Robert Kiyosaki says that a house is a terrible investment. It's a liability. I agree with Robert Kiyosaki. Reason being is because when I lived in the house, this is why, and going back to my story, how I opened, this is why we sold the house. And it wasn't even the money. We sold the house because we realized that the house was a liability and was dragging us down. Why? Because it was a 30-year mortgage, and the only way that we knew how to pay it was a paycheck from a job, which tied us to a job for the next 30 years, which took away our freedom because we had to sell our time for the next 30 years till 2050. We were going to be slaving away for a paycheck unless we found another way to make money. That's why I say to you that I agree with Robert Kiyosaki that a house is not an asset to you. It's the bank's asset. It's your liability. How do I know that? Follow cash flow. When the mortgage is due, who gets paid? You or the bank? The bank, then it's an asset to the bank. It's a liability to you. Now, if you had a renter in the house and they paid you and paid the bank, then it would be an asset. But if you're the one in there living, paying the mortgage, it's a liability. Trust me, based on cash flow. Last person, Grant Cardone. Grant Cardone says you should never, under any circumstance, buy a house. Listen, I don't necessarily agree with that. Here's my belief. And I know I'm not as popular as these guys I know, but I bought a house, just telling you what I've learned. And I just bought a new house, right? So that should tell you I'm not against owning houses. I'm against owning houses with paychecks. So do I believe you should never buy a house? No, absolutely not. If you want a house, I'd rather live in a house than an apartment or a townhouse or a hotel. I'd rather live in a house. That's just me. But if I got to use a paycheck to pay for it, keep it. I don't want it. So Grant says never buy a house. It's a liability. You should never own. You should rent where you live. Here's what I say. I understand you, Grant, but here's what I think is a better idea. There's nothing wrong with buying a house unless you tie the mortgage payment to a paycheck from a job. Now, your 30-year obligation falls on you and your family for the next 30 years. Remember, I told you I sold the house because I realized we were only making money through paychecks, and it was a 30-year mortgage. Smash the thumbs up if you guys are following me, if you understand what I'm saying, if you're tracking this. And I understood that having a mortgage for 30 years with no other way to make income meant that I had to have a what for 30 years? A job. Meant I had to have a paycheck. Meant somebody had to get up and go to work. Meant there was no freedom. Somebody needed a job for 30 years. And I realized, wait a minute, this is not how we want to live. This is not what I signed up for. Let's get out of this death pledge, i.e. mortgage. Did you know that the word mortgage actually means death pledge? Think about it. Mortician, morgue, mortgage. Gauge is, I want to say pledge, and of course, mort is death. So death pledge is I know you guys never thought about that. Sometimes I'm too nerdy, but somebody asks, well, why did they change the name? Well, who would want to commit to a 30-year death pledge? Nobody signing up for that. So they changed the name to mortgage to make it more, buyer friendly. And so, but people are out here signing up for death pledges. I've done it too, but I learned my lesson. not to do it again. So sold the house, got out of the house, said, all right, pump the brakes. We love homes. We love our house. Hate that we had to give it up, but we're going to do something differently. We're not going to buy a house that way anymore. So we just built a new house. That house is probably about 60 days away from completion, probably sooner than that. We'll be moving very soon. But the house is in a master plan neighborhood here in DFW. Beautiful, amazing neighborhood. We already go there. We already spend time there. We already have friends there. We love it. And the house is already, almost done. But the difference this time is we didn't do what Dave Ramsey said. We didn't buy the house and hold it for an investment. It'll probably appreciate just because it's in an amazing spot. Lakes on both sides, amenity centers, all that around it. We probably got one of the best locations in the whole neighborhood. Secondly, it's not like what Grant Cardone said. We understand that, we don't want to just not buy a house. No, we want to have a house, but we're not going to look at a house as a bad investment. We're going to look at the house as, how did you invest in it? That's a question we're going to ask. How are you going to pay for this? And that brings me to Robert Kiyosaki. A house is an asset. Your house is your biggest liability. Well, as long as you pay for it, it is. So my thinking was, all right, we're going to live in this big, amazing house. We love it. How do we pay for this house without us having to go to work? That was the main question. That's why I always tell you guys, before you buy a house, you shouldn't ask, how much is the house? How much will the monthly payments be? What's the mortgage rate? None of that. You should first ask, how am I going to pay for this? And if the answer is paycheck, don't buy the house. Go first, develop an asset, some type of business, cash flow, middleman business, vending machines, I don't care. Side hustle, don't care. Develop something, let it produce enough cash flow to buy the house. Then you take the cash flow from that asset to buy the house. That's where you get ACL, asset times cash flow equals liability. ACL, asset, that's the thing that you use to make money. Cash flow is the money that comes from the asset. And then the liability is the thing that you buy that you don't want to use a paycheck for. So use an asset to create cash flow, use the cash flow to buy the liability. Are we clear? Let me know if you guys are tracking. Put it in the comments that you're following. Smash thumbs up if this makes sense. So if I could teach people how to buy houses this way, I think I can change the world. I know most people won't do it because they're locked in on these jobs. They trust these jobs. They love these jobs. They marry these jobs when you should never do that. You should only treat your job like a side piece. You should always be unfaithful to your job. Always. Yes, you should always cheat on your job. When you're not at work, you should be dating another source of income. Hello. Come on now. When you're not at work, you should be dating another source of income. But I know you guys won't because you're so addicted to these paychecks. You're so addicted to these jobs. You believe that there's no other way you can make income outside of work. And you've fallen for the fly trap. And there you are, trapped financially. Let me know what you guys think. I've been on here long enough. I've got to go. Put your comments, put your questions, put your stories, your testimonies, whether it's yours or someone else's, down in the comments. Share with everybody else. For those who want to change their lives, put the word middleman in the comments below. Learn how to make money from your phone. Let me know what you guys think. Do you agree or disagree with my opinion versus those guys? What do you guys think? Who you rocking with? Let me know, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.